This summer, me and the rest of the youth group got to witness God's love well in Hazard, Kentucky. We felt the love everywhere, whether it was playing cards and hearing genuine, real stories from other volunteers, or talking with our homeowners and eating lunch with them. Our homeowner was named Timothy, and he used to be not a coal miner, but he worked on the diesel trucks at the coal mine. He worked at the coal mine for 40 years, and after that, he retired. He's had 2 strokes in his life, and because of that, he easily gets confused, and it's affected his mobility, and he's not even supposed to leave his house. When I was asked to reflect on this and speak about it today, all I could think of was the verse, Leviticus 19:18, "But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." Because over this trip, I felt so much love, and I felt so much kindness from people that I hadn't even known a week. These people who we just met, they loved us and invited us into their home, and this really reminded me of how we practice an open communion table at our church, where everyone's welcome. We were building a ramp and a new porch for Timothy, and his son-in-law helped us. Even though he was a coal miner and he had long, hard overnight shifts, he still made the time to help us. Wendy made us lunch and got us pizza, even though the nearest pizza place is 45 minutes away. They did so much for us, and I felt that we were barely doing anything for them, but we were just helping each other and serving each other. My favorite part about the day was at lunch, where we would all sit inside in the AC, and we would listen to everyone's stories. At the end of the trip, we got to visit the family grave. There was so much rich history of that family there. They were truly woven into the Hazard community, and I felt blessed to be able to see it. Before the trip, Pastor Robert told us that the people we serve might not remember our names or where we're from, but they will remember how we made them feel. I hope Timothy and his family never forget the week that they met their family in Cincinnati, because I know I'll never forget our family in Hazard. I'll never forget the fun games we played or the new friends that we made at the center. I'll never forget how hot it was in the gym and in our room because we had no AC, and it was the hottest week in Hazard that summer. I'll never forget the morning devotionals that I still find myself thinking back to when I feel it's hard for me to be generous or to work with a team. And I'm never going to forget how I left that trip feeling like I had a much bigger family than I went there. I would never change a single thing about the trip. To me, it was perfect, even though it was hard and it was hot and sweaty and the showers were just hoses and boxes. Because when I came home, I was so much more grateful for everything that we had. One last verse that I want to leave you with that I feel encapsulated the whole week is Philippians 2:3. "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but humanity count others more significant than yourself." Thank you.
I'm just going to outline real quick about what this experience will look like, what the report back will look like. So we had 3 work teams that we were able to send. So that was work teams consisted of 2 adult leaders with groups of 4 youth on each of the teams. And so each of our work teams are going to be sharing, we're going to have a couple youth from each work team who share a little bit about their experience on the work site, their experience at ASP in general, any reflections, ways that they experience God, etc. And then as they do so, I created a slideshow, and it's just going to cycle through. So the photos will be there, and they will help to provide some context for what the youth are talking about, but they're not going to correlate. So just know that, okay? That's too much coordination for me. But I wanted to first introduce 2 young people who are on my work team, and that's Wake and Joaquin, who are going to share a little bit about our work site experience.
Go, you go first. So me, Joaquin, Robert, Cammie, and Alex were in charge of working for this one home where his name was Timothy. He had a stroke about 4 years back, 2 strokes actually. So that caused him to he's going to be in a wheelchair soon. So we had the pleasure of building a ramp out. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we had to pretty much build the ramp for him because he couldn't walk downstairs because when he gets a wheelchair, he can't go down the stairs. So, okay. His daughter, Wendy, like Cami said, got us pizza, even though it took 2 hours to bring it back to us. And then she made us spaghetti the next day because it was 100 degrees and we needed it, food. And then Wendy's husband, Sean, took us to the cemetery where it goes back 200 years, and he helped bury a lot of the people there, a lot of the, Wendy's family members, even though they weren't technically his family members.
Yeah, so the ramp consisted of I think it was 16-foot by 8-foot ramp that went down the stairs and then looped back and went down. So we had to dig a bunch of holes, about 2 foot deep, which doesn't seem that hard until we learned that Timothy's old houses, there was, I think, about 3 that were along that area right there. They had burned down about 20 years back. He had lost his wife in that fire. And over that, they just tore everything down and put dirt over it. So when we were digging down, over every couple inches, there was brick and metal and scraps and everything.
Yeah, so we had to use the postal diggers to pretty much dig through the rock, and we had to break the rock with these little concrete breakers. So that took a while, and then we had to align the post, and on Wednesday we pretty much realized we did most of a lot of it wrong, so we had to realign all the posts again, and that was the worst day by far. So we had to realign all the posts, and that took the whole day pretty much, and then the next day it got way better, and we finished up one part of the deck, and we started the second part. And then Friday, it was we were almost there, and then when we finally finished the second part, and we realized we didn't do anything wrong that day. So that day was nice, I guess.
Thank you, Wake and Joaquin. That was one of our work teams. I'm going to invite a couple representatives from our second work team who are going to come up, and that's Landon and Eamon, who are going to share about their experience.
Our work team consisted of me, Eamon, Annie, Kate, Faith, and Bill, and Sarah. I almost forgot about Sarah. We worked for a lady named Flo who bought this house a long time ago with her husband to repair and rebuild so that they could live there together. But shortly after they bought it, Flo's husband was diagnosed with cancer and died. So we helped her get the house fixed up so she could finally live there after a long time. So it was a little bit bittersweet because she was supposed to live there with her husband, but at least she gets to live there now.
The first thing we had to start by doing was we took out all the carpet, and sadly it was not as smooth as it could have gone. There was just a layer of some kind of glue everywhere, and all the foam got stuck to the floor, and so for a good 2 days we had to scrape the foam off before we could even start laying the flooring.
One of the hardest things besides scraping off the foam for 2 days was we had to install a door on the side of the house. Bill would probably agree that Bill hates doors now. Bill spent a multitude of hours chiseling away at the door frame because as the house settled, the door frame was not square anymore. So he had to chisel away at the door frame to make the door actually fit into the doorway. Nothing worked quite right with that door. there was a lot of work that went into the door, a lot of chiseling, a lot of insulation, a lot of stuff like that. And then after we got all the foam away, we finally got to laying down the flooring, but the flooring was a little hard because we had to just start cutting away at these floorboards, and sometimes the floorboards we mismeasured, sometimes they weren't long enough, sometimes they were too short, and we just had to toss those boards out.
And then the floor, there are supposed to be these dumb standards that it had to be, the shortest it could be was like this much, and I don't know how well we kept to the standards, but we did our best.
And then after we got the floorboards down, we had to put in the trim. The trim went pretty quick, except sometimes the nails just wouldn't go into the wall for no reason at all. They just decided, nope, I'm gonna stay half an inch out of the wall. It was hard. Yeah.
And then was probably the most annoying part of it all. We had to use these nail setters, and I don't know how, but we could not get any of them to work. Like we probably out of like the 20, 40 to 50 nails everywhere, we probably only set properly like 10 of them.
Oh, yeah, the house had no electricity, so we brought these saws to help us do stuff, except with no outlets that worked, we weren't able to actually use the saws. And the hand tools that required electricity didn't always work. And sometimes when it was cloudy outside and it was dark and we were in the back of the house where there wasn't a whole lot of lighting, it was very dark and you couldn't see. And we were laying rather dark colored flooring, which just made it even harder to see. So we had to bring a battery powered light in until the batteries ran out.
That was our second team. Our last team that's going to share, folks representing our last team, I should say, Mateo and Clark are going to share about their experience.
Robert saved the best team for last. So our group consisted of the two of us and Carter and Gavin and Steve, and we worked for, our homeowner's name was Andrew, and there were two other people in the house, Dwayne and Rosetta, and we were working on installing some floor, like the one on the screen right now, but also installing a toilet and a 2-sink vanity into a bathroom that had been over the weeks prior had been ripped up, and then new subflooring had been put in. Part of the work that we had to do was figuring out how to put this like fairly nice new like equipment into a trailer that was real old. So it started with the toilet. We tried to put the toilet on, but then it wasn't on. And so then we took it off and we tried to fix it and it didn't work. And then we realized, so the pipe into the ground was wrong. So we had to replace the whole pipe because if we didn't, the toilet would be crooked, it looked real weird. And then we got to the vanity and it wouldn't fit because the vanity was made for pipes coming out of the wall, but the pipes in the trailer were coming out of the floor. So we had to cut into the vanity to make a hole for it. It was just lots of trial and error and trial and error and trial and error. And then we had to hook up the water, but then the water was, the team before us had accidentally cut the water line to the toilet. And then when they replaced it, it was too short. And so we had to figure out how to deal with that. We went to lots of different hardware stores, lots of different times, and just had to keep buying stuff and seeing if it worked, and then it didn't work. And then we bought new stuff and it didn't work again. But eventually we got it, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was Lowe's at 5 times in 5 days or something like that. Maybe 6? 6 times in 5 days, actually. Let's see. So, like, the vanity that's on the screen right now, as you can see, Clark is trying to fix the piping, which, like, I'm kind of forgetting the way that it was set up. The left one was actually very good, but the right one, the way that it was set up, you had to have, like, a very special attachment that went from like one part of the pipe to the Yeah, Clark.
Yeah, I think I think I spent about 3 hours under that sink trying to make it work, and it worked eventually. But the pipes were so old that they were glued in place, and we couldn't really position them at all. And so when we put the vanity in, the hole for the drain and the hole for the pipe weren't aligned, and so we had to at the end we just started. It was kind of like we had to just jam stuff together so that the water coming into the drain would go into the right pipe and not just leak. And eventually we got it, but then on our very last day, we came in and there was a leak. And we were like, what is happening? Because we thought we got it all right. And we realized that part of the pipes, not that we installed, but the pipes that were already there had a leak in them. And the way we had arranged it, we had to cut a hole in the bottom of the vanity to push it up against the wall. And so the pipes that couldn't move were stuck against the side of the vanity, and that's where the leak was, so we couldn't get to it. And that was really unfortunate, an unfortunate way to leave, because we had done all this work, and then on the last day we realized there was a problem that we probably needed 2 more days to fix. So we did a lot of stuff and got a lot of stuff done really well, except for that one thing, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, Carter did the flooring. Carter really loves flooring. Yeah, we got the toilet installed, and the vanity 95% installed. It was honestly, we got the vanity installed, it was just the pipes. I don't know, what more do you want to say, Clark?
I got to talk to one of the people in the house named Dwayne, who is a retired deacon from the Southern Baptist Church, and he showed me a picture book from when he went on a mission trip to Mexico. And it was really interesting because he showed that his faith was very based in salvation and converting people to Jesus. The very last page in his picture book was him with someone from Mexico that he had said he converted to Christ, and it was a huge achievement for him, which is kind of weird coming from here, where that's not really what we believe is converting people. And so talking to him, it made me realize, kind of like what Robert says, you don't have to believe what I believe to belong here, because we were able to get along really well. But his beliefs were if he came here and heard Robert's sermon today, he would probably be real mad. He would probably not be very happy at all. But we were still able to be congenial and friendly, and able to help him, which was really cool. So, do you have anything else?
So I'm going to invite the whole team to come up because I do want to introduce everyone because we've said everyone's name, and there are a couple folks who couldn't be here. So Cami was here early and offered her witness, but she had a conflict, so she had to leave. And then Anna Peterson, who was my adult leader on my work site, is not able to be here because she's traveling. So I'm going to go through and just say everyone's name just so you all know. You know most of these beloved people, I'm sure, but you have Bill and Gavin and Steve. You have Chris, Clark, Wake, Carter, Mateo, Faith, Annie Kate, Joaquin, Landon, Eamon, Sarah, and those persons that I mentioned. Can we clap for all these people? It's great. Oh, get in the picture? Okay, I'll get in the picture. I was going to get out of the way to get a picture. So I did want to open it up to some time for Q&A, and the folks here can answer any questions that you all might have, and we can just kind of see if there's anything that's percolating. Any questions? Yeah, Heather.
I think perseverance. Perseverance for you guys. Nice job.
Yeah, perseverance. Yeah, Salvador. I'll give you the mic so we can put it in the recording too.
I just wanted to share, yesterday Joaquin and I were talking about what he was going to say this morning. And I said, well, say it kind of like in a spiritual way. And he said, well, I'm going to tell them when I was in Kentucky building this house, God came very close to me, and I came very close to God, and God told me, you are doing it wrong.
That's true, brother. That's true. Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm curious, now that you guys have all done it, if you get another opportunity to go on ASP, how many of you would go again?
Show of hands. Show of hands, who would go again? And the adults, and we got maybe. Any other questions? Yeah.
What did you do for fun?
That's a great question. All right, Amen. Amen, we'll start.
Sarah wants me to tell about the lake. We went to a lake one day, and it was really fun, I guess. But what I was gonna say was 9 square. Oh, it was great. I was one of the greatest there. I was definitely at the center. I was definitely the best 9 square player, definitely, easily. Like,
So one of the fun outings we had, we went to go get ice cream. What we learned after was, I think maybe 2 or 3 people on this trip are lactose intolerant. We were all in the same van, and one of them had drinking 3 milkshakes. And we didn't know that until we were all in the van. And they were like, guys, by the way, I can't really have ice cream. And we'd already gone. And then it was like 30 minutes away. So, yeah. Yeah.
Others?
One of the fun parts was meeting all the different people that were there. The other church, there was like a group of 2 Methodist church together from Michigan, they had like 50 people. And it was like, ASP was like their yearly thing for them. And so at the end, we all shared. On the last day, everyone shared. And one person was like, I've been wanting to go to ASP my whole life because I've seen the older kids go. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then there was another Methodist church from St. Louis, and their pastor's name was Tim Mosier. And he just had such a fun time. He was a retired firefighter, and he just like talked to all the kids, and it was not something I expected from someone that like someone like him, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so naming no names, there was a certain, I was about to say student, child in the group who played this very cruel game called Mao. And for you who do not know, Mao is a game where you play a game and you're not allowed to know the rules of the game. It was awful. Anyway, so that happened.
Anyone else for fun things? Oh, we did have some pretty cutthroat euchre, and I learned a lot about Christian ethic of love and compassion when Bill and I were getting like completely destroyed in euchre. But you know what? There's bonding on the way down. There's bonding on the way down. Yeah. Amen. Last.
you can win in the euchre tournament that we're gonna have here, right?
Yes. Yeah. The youth want to do a euchre tournament, and I'm vowed that I'm gonna win. Any other questions that you all might have?
I am just wondering, because we have a new group of kids who are going to be old enough to go on the trip next time, what advice would you give the kids who are thinking about signing up for next time?
Advice. Let's go, Annie Kate.
This is so if you're going to be staying in, like, at least for us, for the girls' room this year, if there's no air conditioning and you think you can tough it out for one night, bad idea. Don't do that. It was so bad. Never again. But Robert went out and bought us 3 box fans, which was really nice. I think that's the only way we survived.
Just like, if things get hard, you need to keep a positive attitude the whole time, because good things are gonna happen along with the bad things. So just keep a positive attitude.
If you find water on the floor, move your stuff.
If you're thinking about it and you're like, I really don't want to go to, like, I don't know, wherever we're going to go for a week because I want to do other stuff, just try it once, because I promise you're going to try it and you're going to love it. Like, I thought I didn't want to go, and then I went. I was like, wow, I'm really glad I went. So, yeah.
Any others? Any remaining questions? I can vouch for how hard Wednesday was on our work site, and I think I heard kind of a common theme, and Heather picked up on it when she said the word persistence. I think that one of the things that I believe about church versus my experience of service outside of church is that because we believe it is a spiritual calling from God in the person of Jesus, it doesn't mean that we just do it when it feels good. Like that's fine, but serving others it's not always convenient, and it's not always easy, and sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes we have to work to amend or correct those. But I think service, at least in my experience at church, through church, as a spiritual discipline and practice, invites a different layer or a different experience to reflect upon. And so I just want to say I'm really proud of all these young people and these adults for their persistence and for the ways in which they embodied the love of Christ for our neighbors in Appalachia and Hazard, and for our friends who we met at the center. So can we show some love and appreciation to them? Oh, and then I think I see a hand. Yes, Mary.
Okay, picture yourself being 72 years old or even older. Do you think you will still remember this?
I see some nods. Yes? Yeah? Okay. I was going to say, for some, a little bit closer than others. Thank you, friends, for your love and support and the ways that you've supported in various ways. And thanks for being here today. Go in peace. Awesome job, everyone. Thank you, friends. Thank you.